Hey guys, welcome to Budget Audio Reviews. Today I'll be bringing you the Whizzer HE01. I want to thank Whizzer for providing me this sample unit for me to try, listen to it, give my impressions and thereafter review. So this is after about 10 hours plus of listening time through the Samsung Galaxy S10, which is this camera here, directly on the phone, through U app and Tidal, and also the iFi Hip deck. So this has been my go-to portable deck M along the way. So today I've already given the review online through NBBA Facebook group, on my Instagram. I can't remember whether I actually shared it on AR, but I'm spending a lot more time on NBBA. I don't want to spread myself too thin. So let's dive right into the HE01. The first thing I want to share is how immediately out of the box when you plug it out. Now, we'll talk about the box later. The moment I plug this thing out of the box, I put on the vocal ear tips, I put on the stock cables and plug it in, and immediately it is good to go. Because compared to other earphones, I usually have problems with ear tips. For example, like the Blon BL05s here, I had to swap around a couple of tips and finally went back down to my default BGVP VG4 tips that is most comfortable for my ears. As compared to the Whizzer HE01, I'm extremely surprised that everything out of the box was very comfortable. So I was able to take it out of the box, plug everything in and just run it straight away, and I don't have to mess around. Especially most important for me is the ear tips, the fit and the seal. So there are several other IEMs that I have purchased, like the BQE Whizzer HE01, sorry, that was provided as a sample as well, and several others. Even the Tri-i4, the stock ear tips didn't work perfectly for me. So number one, I have to give Whizzer, a huge thumbs up for their out of the box packaging. So they have the vocal ear tips, they have the standard, they call it the reference ear tips. I don't have the box here right now because I think you can find a lot of those images already on the internet and AliExpress. I want to dive in straight into my impressions of this. I'll be time to time referring to my notes here. So these are the same notes that I put up on NBBA and Instagram as my review notes. So you can get to the Instagram and read it, you can get to the NBBA group and read it. So right off here, this thing is a neutral warm tone with a mild V to U tuning. So mids and vocals are a little bit more recessed, and I'm making reference as compared to the BL05s here, which is, to me, I think it's, for its price, it's incredibly awesome for vocals. So we'll talk about the BL05s a little later, probably on another video, but I'll be making reference between the HE01, BL05s and also the OH10. Coming back down to the HE01, I found that it works incredibly well for 90s rock. So I plugged this thing in, went through my U app playlist, and I just found that this thing works so well with 90s rock. Something to do about the tone of the sound, that the neutral warm tone. It's not totally warm, it still has that neutral, well-balanced bass to trebles. Nothing was too sharp, too airy, too clinical, and I like how they have done this tuning to be very comfortable to the listener, and it works so well with, for example, they have this Best of Skid Row album, and I was enjoying it so much the other night, a couple of nights ago, that I was immediately headbanging and enjoying myself on that album. Now coming down, the overall perspective of the HE01 in terms of the sound, it's neither offensive or harsh in the trebles. So the trebles are smoothed out a little bit more. Not to say that it has lost all details, except that you don't hit the sibilance zone, which is irritating for myself, or that sort of a metallic, harsh sound. Next thing is the HE01 maintained the accuracy of instrument imaging without being fuzzy. That might happen because of the wide soundstage. So the HE01 is very good with its instrument imaging. This thing has so much detail in a way, but surprising its details without being, having that fake clarity that a lot of the new models coming out of the Chi-Fi world has. So this is a very fresh take in terms of the tuning. Even within the same price range, I could remember it was a TRN VX. So that was impressive from the shell perspective, the overall feeling of the shell, but the sound was wow. I couldn't take the TRN VX. But this guy, for about the same price with the TRN VX, the tuning is top of the line tuning. The HE01 timbre of acoustic brass and wind instruments, they retain the natural sound in the most excellent manner. So I use Natalie Merchant's Ophelia album, that last track where it was a reprise of the theme of the album, and that second half of the album from 422 or 426 onwards was all violins and wind instruments and acoustic instruments, and you're able to pick up all the natural sounds of those instruments, which I thought was wonderfully done on the HE01. Now let's break it down further in terms of the bass quantity and quality. They are very excellent. It provides enough pump and thump, alright, for rock, pop and EDM. The bass is so well controlled, it doesn't spill over to the mids, and you can enjoy jazz like from Diana Krall, Natalie Merchant, and even Cuban jazz. I've been listening a lot to, let me just flip it here and show it to you guys, so at least there's some visuals that I can share. Okay, this is my U app. Cool. It is this album here by Amara Portuondo, and it was she's featured together with Buena Vista Social Club. So this album has been my ear jam for the past 2 weeks or so, kindly shared by Kopio Kaya to me, so I was very thankful that he shared this gem of an album. So everything in the album sounds really good on the HE01. Very natural sound in terms of all the acoustic instruments, especially for Cuban jazz. The star of Cuban jazz not only is the vocals, it's the trumpets as well. So you get, even for brass instruments, they don't sound too harsh on the HE01. So I think the HE01 is very well tuned for both rock and like Cuban jazz, let's say, for this one. And then for mids, although they are slightly recessed, I thought they were tuned very well, that I don't have to strain my ears to listen to vocals. For example, a lot more V-shaped tuning earphones, typically like my Marshall mode. Yeah, that's my classic one, the Marshall mode, the very old Marshall mode. Those were very V-shaped, very high, deep bass, dark bass, and you know, mild trebles, and the vocals are just like right there at the bottom. But this guy is just like dipped here, so you still can get you know, to listen to enjoy the vocals. I thought the HE01 produced Seth MacFarlane's voice really well. So normally I listen to female vocals, but for the HE01, Seth MacFarlane's voice really had that natural male tone, male tonality, male timbre. So it's got a very nice sound for me. So Diana Krall, Omara Portuondo, Natalie Merchant, they all sound great on the HE01. Again, it depends on the mix of the album, assuming it is the live album. So live album, like Natalie Merchant's obviously favorite album of mine is Live in Paris. So I think all of you are familiar with this album, Live in Paris. So her voice sounds much more airy than the studio albums. Of course, it's due to the nature of the recording, but you'll be able to enjoy that live performance very well with the HE01 because the balance of the instruments is very well done. For example, pianos, you could get the note weight and the hammering of the piano keys. You can really enjoy that on the HE01. Now, of course, if you want to compare vocals of the HE01 to a vocal specialist like the Blon BL05s, now that's something that's really hard to fight. Although the Blon BL05s is about half the price of the HE01. But that guy was tuned very well for vocals. So I think if you want something just purely for attacking the vocals, something that you just want to zoom in and listen to vocals, go for the BL05s. I think you will not go wrong, although you have to play around a little bit of with ear tips, and maybe if you're a cable believer, cables. Yeah. So for me, I think the HE01 can be a very good all-rounder, but if you want something focused on the vocals, go for the BL05s. Next thing I want to take note about the HE01 is that it does very well in managing the upper mids glare. I get very sensitive to blaring upper mids, whether it's on trumpets or vocals, female vocals especially. So for example, Natalie Merchant's Life is Sweet, you could go to that sound, to that song track and listen to midway through the album where she starts to pull her voice up a bit more, and that upper mid glare will start to show itself. So I think the HE01 is able to maintain that upper mid glare very well. So at the peaks of the vocals, the glare or the shoutiness is tamed down a little bit and ensures a very smooth listening sessions. Alright, so we'll talk about trebles right now. So beautiful treble tuning, right? Beautiful treble tuning. They are tuned very well in terms of enough details without being offensive. I love the detail retrieval with the slightest. You still can hear the sound of all the hi-hats, especially in Dino Crawl's Fly Me to the Moon. Trebles are well extended just before, you know, you get that irritating sibilance, like it gets you know, dragged on for too long, so it cuts out just enough. Timbre and detail retrieval are very, very good. So listen again to Natalie Merchant's there we go, that's the name of the track. I'll flip here so you guys can see it on screen. Alright, so I love this album, especially here, track number 11, When They Ring Them Golden Bells / Ophelia Reprise. So that's the one. Halfway mid through the album, that's when you get that instrumental section, yeah, the Ophelia Reprise instrumental section at 4:24 onwards, where you get violins, cello, flutes, acoustics, and the classical guitar. So you get an extremely powerful and intimate performance with the HE01. You can hear every pluck of the guitars, every string of the violin and cello being drawn, especially when you hear the pulling of the bow of the cello and the violins. You can hear that sound being dragged on the strings, and it's just a beautiful sound. I totally enjoy those sort of details. Now, let's not confuse details with you know, fake clarity or thin, extremely airy sound. So details meaning at even this kind of tuning, where it's a neutral warm tuning, you get to pick out every little detail of the sound. For example, the plucking of the strings, the sound of the nylon strings, the pulling of the bow. Those are details, those are micro details that you can pick out that doesn't irritate your ears. Yeah. Next, we talk about a track that you have to try, which is a choral, vocals and harp. Is Ave Maria, is a long one. Ave Maria, Opus 52, number 6, D839 for high voice by the Cathedral Singers. The vocal timbre and sound of the harp strings being plucked is amazing. So that probably is on my classical playlist. So if I flip that here into playlist, I could show you that one. Yes, I found it. It's right here. So let's get it all the way down. I think it's halfway mid through my playlist here. I should be able to find it. There we go. I don't know whether to play this. I'm in a temporary place, so my Wi-Fi is kind of spotty. This is the one. I'm going to bring it to the mobile phone. So I hope YouTube doesn't cut off the audio for that section. So this is an extremely beautiful track, guys. I think you should look for this track to test vocals and harps all at the same time. So if you can just catch a glimpse of this album cover and the name of the artist, they are called the Cathedral Singers, Richard Prohl, conductor. So I cannot pronounce that name properly, I'm sorry, but I think you have an idea where you can find this, either on Tidal or Spotify. So that's an extremely beautiful track for you guys to test vocals and harps, and you're able to pick out the nylon strings of the harps, and it's so beautiful that you can really immerse yourself in the music, either with earphones like these, like the HE01, or even large cans. Like for me, I've been enjoying the R70X a lot. So that song, you can really immerse yourself in that songs and that particular track for late night listening. I'll probably share my playlist inside the description below. Let's talk about tone. As mentioned earlier on, it's a neutral warm, which goes well for most genres. Comparing to the BL05s, the BL05s has also a neutral warm tuning, but very mid vocals emphasis. Comparing to the Ikko OH10, that has a very neutral, cool kind of sound with very airy sound stage. So this is a neutral warm sound, which I thought works very well, specifically to nice distortion guitars. They work very well with distortion guitars. and the warmth with the bass tuning. He's got nice solid body to the sound. So if you like that very natural woody timbre tone, they are not as bassy as the BQ YZ K1. They are not. I think they are more accurate. The bass is more controlled than the K1, and I think the HE01 is very, very well tuned. Genre suitability, yes, I've been talking a lot about its suitability for rock, typically with Skid Row, Racer X. Yeah, I really enjoy Racer X. Technical Difficulties, that specific track and the entire album. 3G Live by Eric Johnson, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai. That album is a live album, so you can really thoroughly enjoy the entire live album with the drums, the bass guitars, the extreme guitar skills that you get from these three masters right there on the album. You can really enjoy it on the HE01. And Sepultura. So I've not listened to Sepultura for a while. So Chaos AD album, Territory especially, when that bass guitars and the drums kick in and the thick distortions on the D flat, on the D tuning of the guitars, it's incredibly good. Now the HE01 as a side track, it does very well with the X bass boost and the i5 hip deck. So on the i5 hip deck, the bass boost is quite needed if you want a bit more fat distortions. For example, I thought Sepultura's Chaos AD album worked very well with the X bass boost. You don't have it, the sound will just be a little bit thinner, but to add that extra oomph to just a couple of tracks, you can turn on the X bass and really enjoy the HE01. So the HE01 does very well with a bit of bass boost as well. Still fairly clean, but you get a much fatter overall experience. As a package, in terms of sound quality, you don't need, this is the best part guys, you don't need to mess around with ear tips or cables. Especially for me, I've got really large Asian ears, and I always have fit issues with IEMs, and that's the reason why I've bought maybe 5-6 pairs of these guys here, because they fit me so well. I know I won't go wrong with those ear tips. Anything out of the box, I always have issues with it being finicky. I don't get good seal, or it's too stiff or too small. One of those things, it just doesn't work for me. So I'm very thankful I found those tips. But this guys, man, out of the box, phenomenal. Now other stuff besides the sound, so get online, go to AliExpress, go to whichever audio reviews website you like to read through. Take a look at the packaging. It has great packagings, but although I thought Whizzer could save up a little bit more on the packaging and spend a bit more of that money on the shell. So I'll be talking a little bit more about the build quality. I'll leave all this towards the end of the video because everybody wants to know about the sound. Let's not talk about packaging at the beginning, right? Okay, so they could have saved a lot of paper, alright, on the box. I love that they put in effort in the packaging, but you don't need such a big hard box for everything. I love that they put this nice beautiful metal casing here. This is the same casing that came with the C Audio Yume, and the C Audio Yume is double the price with a sound that I really did not enjoy. So this guys at half the price, slightly less than half the price of the C Audio Yume, and it came with this nice good padded hard case. I don't know if I put under the light you could see it here, but it's padded, nice good padded hard case. This will protect all your IEMs, the HE01 included, with all your other earphones, right? The next thing we want to talk about is, I love the cables guys. This is one of those cables that out of the box, I was like, whoa, I love this jack. Look at that fat jack here. So this jack has that really nice knurling on the ends here. You could see this is where you can get a good grip, because I've got really sweaty palms and I have issues with grip. So this is a beautiful grip. I can put my fingers on the knurling even in the dark. I can pull it out, or if it's in my bag, my pouch, I can easily manipulate this plug if I want to plug it out. So I think as a package, you just check out that jack, man. It's amazing. It's super good quality jack. And these cables here, I don't know what it is, 8 core, 4 core, but they're really thick for a stock cables. And they, to me, okay, I think cables do affect sounds a little bit, and yeah, they do very well with the HE01. Alright, the only negative thing about the HE01 cable design is it's got this pin that has a shroud, so it's very finicky in terms of trying to get any other aftermarket cables. But the nice HCK 8 core and 16 core cables do work very well. The two pins just go right on top of the jack here, the female side on the earphones, but that entire jack sticks out this way. It's quite long and affects comfort on the earphones. So a bit finicky on the jack end, but other than that, they are very, very, very good. Again, I'm so impressed. Tips Alright, plugged on one. I knew my size roughly is the L size, so I took the vocal tips, plug it in, done. Never looked back, just used it permanently. Okay, super comfortable, perfect fit. And the shell, again, the shell design is very comfortable. So let's take a look at the shell design a bit. It's a nice transparent shell where you could see everything inside. I don't quite bother whether I can see things inside the earphones or not, but I do bother about, you know, fit and comfort, whether there's any hot spots. Now, here's the thing, guys. The shell is all plastic. I thought, at this price, it could at least have been a resin shell with a bit better feel to it, because this beautiful pearl end here, nice and beautiful, but the moment you reach this side here, you've got that, you can feel that hard edge here. I find that's where, you know, I lose a bit of that feeling of, you know, haptic pleasure somewhat if I touch this sharp end. It's not sharp, it's just a little bit, it has an edge here where the faceplate is put onto the shell. So overall, the shell feels a little bit, you know, plasticky and cheap-ish to me, but that's just something I can really overlook, because I just love the sound and the fit and the comfort and the entire package that the HE01 came with. Yeah. All right. Let's go to hits and misses. All right, superb, entertaining tuning that will suit most genres and most listeners. Detailed enough for audiophile aficionados to pick up micro details for hours of listening without that fake clarity that will sear your ears and make things super uncomfortable. Aesthetics wise, it looks beautiful out of the box. This, you can play with photography on this guy for hours. Faceplate, cables, plug, you can use that camera to zoom in on any portion of this earphones and really enjoy hours on end of photographic fun on these guys. Yeah. Next thing is comfort. Yeah, easy fit, no hot spots out of the box. Again, silicone tips for the vocal tips, beautiful. All right, misses. Well, it is back to aesthetics again. It's the haptics of the feeling of this plastic shell and this you know, edge that I feel here. Other than that, it's nothing to worry about. I'm being just extremely picky about these things here. Bass, yeah, bass does lack a little of that sub-bass energy, right down, for example, if you play movie soundtracks, which has a lot of that low end, you know, like from the soundtracks from Transformers or Blade Runner 2046, where you need that added, you know, subwoofer feeling. The HE01 does not have that. The Tri-i4 does have that. The Ikko OH10 does have that, but again, those are, you know, in maybe the Tri-i4 you can compete in terms of price, but Ikko OH10 different price league, so can't complain. It's just being extremely nitpicky. Synthwave tracks like from Daniel Deluxe, what is it called? Is it Star Water? Maybe I was wrong about that, but yeah, it lacks a bit of that deep thump and thump and boom energy, as I mentioned. Although if you need a bit more of that depth on the bass, if you have something like a hip deck, punch that bass boost and you're good to go. Alright, so in this video, I just want to thank Whizzer again for providing this review unit. If you do need a bit more thump and pump on the HE01 on the bass end, get something like the hip deck. You know, the hip deck has been a wonderful audiophile investment for my end. I thoroughly enjoy the hip deck, and UAP as well. So if you guys are considering spending money on UAP, even on the tone booster, which is the parametric equalizer, you know, you have to spend some money on it, but it's not big money, and you know, it's a wonderful software that you can really thoroughly enjoy high quality music. Yeah guys, so well, that's all. The HE01 is a box full of positive surprises for me, and thanks so much for reading and watching this video. So I'll put down the links to where I've shared this review on it. I think it's on NBBA, and it's also on my Instagram. I don't want to do any stuff on AR or Hi-Fi. I'm just a small fry. I just want to enjoy this as a passionate pastime of mine in between my long work hours as a personal trainer. Alright guys, so thanks so much for watching. If you've liked the video, do hit that like, subscribe, and share this video amongst your friends in the audiophile community. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Signing out. We'll see you again real soon for the Blon BL05s.